I wonder
Yeah.
whether and to what extent the sudden availability of Mike Vrabel complicates whatever conversations have been happening between Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick made it clear on Monday that you're either going to have to fire me or you're going to have to keep me. I'm just going to go to work. And
Right.
if there's news, let me know. I'm getting ready for next year. I'm going to work. So those are the two options. Very narrow. No mutual parting. He's not going to lock arms with Robert Kraft and give him a big hug and walk off into the sunset with a gold watch and a chicken dinner and all that stuff. And they're not going to trade him. They're not. It's too complicated. It takes too long. And he's not going to go along with it. The coach to be traded has to be willing to go along with that approach. And when Belichick knows, hey, I'm fine staying here. I want to stay here. All I got to do is stay. You want me to go? I'll go. Otherwise, I'll stay. I don't care. I'd rather stay. You want me to go? I'll go. Now, Belichick, when he said on Monday, something along the lines of he doesn't need to be fully in control. He made that concession when he was asked about it by reporters. Shireen made a great point yesterday that may have been more of a message to other teams than to the Patriots. I just wonder how hard Belichick tries now to make it difficult for Kraft to fire him. That I'll do whatever you want. I'll change however you want me to change. And will Kraft say, you know what, it's too late for that? It's like a relationship that's gone bad. And all the stuff that brings it to a head, the person who doesn't want the relationship to end says, well, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. And the other person says, well, you should have been doing it all along. And why am I going to take the leap of faith that you're going to do it now? You're just saying what you have to say so it doesn't end. And I feel like having Vrabel hovering over it could make Belichick a little more desperate. I don't mean that because it's hard to imagine him really caring. He just doesn't seem to care. But I just wonder if it just raises the stakes for Belichick to at least make it harder for Kraft to jump out of that airplane. Because they regard Belichick as a great coach.
Sure.
Everyone does.
Sure.
The question is, does the other stuff become too much of a problem? And does Belichick start making the kind of concessions that just makes it harder, right? But it also could make it easier, Chris, because if you want Vrabel, this is your chance.
Well, exactly.
Unless he's going to sit out a year.
Right.
This is your chance. He's going to be somewhere else, and you're not going to be able to get him unless he can play chess while his next ownership group is also playing checkers.
I mean, I feel like this move or anything would help the departure of Belichick leaving New England in a lot of ways. You know, I do. One, I think it maybe shows the hand of the Kraft family to where Belichick could be like, hey, look, you got your thing here. I think the other thing too, to appease, whatever you want to say to the fan base, they can look and go, hey, we're Belichick's gone for those who think he should stay, and we know how great he is, but we're replacing him with a guy that's really damn good too. And of course, it's part of the tentacles of Bill Belichick, but it's not exactly Belichick. It's not that. And I think that's what's kind of good too. You're kind of getting Belichick without getting necessarily the Belichick coaching tree. You're going to get some of the attitudes, some of the outside-the-box thinking, but a totally different personality in the way things are run there. And that, to me, is what the best of both worlds of New England would be looking for anyways. So that's where I'm interested to see where this goes. But I don't know. It feels like when I talk to people around the NFL, Mike, I know I texted to you a little bit yesterday. It feels like Belichick is trying to make moves to go somewhere else. And it feels like most people that I trust in this situation feel like Mike Vrabel and New England Patriots are lining this up. And, of course, we got to wait till everybody does their interview process and does all that. But they're lining this up to make him the next head coach of the New England Patriots.
I go back to the 4th of July. Woke up that morning, sat down at my desk, opened up my email, and somebody I've known for years said, Mike Vrabel's going to be the next coach of the New England Patriots. And we've been kind of throwing it out there from time to time. And you know what? It might just happen. Now, there was a possibility of a trade of Vrabel to the New England Patriots. Amy Adams Strunk decided not to do that. She did speak yesterday. She didn't do the press conference. She was on radio in Tennessee on the phone or something like that. Here she is talking about whether or not she considered trying to essentially trade Mike Vrabel to New England or elsewhere.
Well, yes, there was, but there's a bit of misconception about a coach's contract, say, versus a player's contract. A coach's contract, you can't trade them unless they're a willing partner to that trade. So, yes, we thought about it, but at the end of the day, with league rules the way they are, it would have maybe put us back 3 weeks. And, honestly, to get the right head coach, I was just not willing to go to the back of the line and take a chance of missing out on someone we really wanted.
Okay, I misspoke. It wasn't radio, but you know what it was? You know what that was? That was a scenario where you're never going to be asked any tough questions.
No, that's the Titans play-by-play caller right there. Right.
That is Titans owned media. This is one of the benefits, folks, of these teams owning their own media.
The legend Mike
Delicate,
Keith.
difficult subject. Yes, when there is a delicate subject, somebody on the payroll is going to be asking you questions because you're not going to get tough questions like you would at a press conference or like you would if you were being interviewed by somebody who is independent of your organization, who doesn't get a check from you on a regular basis. That's no indictment of the specific individual involved here. That's just the reality of the business now. We all need to understand that when an owner submits to an exclusive interview with somebody who works for that owner. That said, I think, and again, I heard enough as it was happening when there was this long-standing back and forth between the league and the Titans, and I think the league eventually fined the Titans, and there was talk of the league possibly being sued by the Titans for antitrust for trying to dictate this idea that there always must be one person and only one person in charge, and it can't be more than one. It can't be a committee. It can't be anything more than it's possible they just didn't want to F around and find out with the league. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Patriots have never seriously considered trying to trade Bill Belichick, because the reality is you're not going to sit around and wait. You're going to figure out who you want. You're going to work back channels. There's going to be enough digital footprint out there that you're potentially going to get the Stephen Ross treatment. When Stephen Ross tried to line up Sean Payton and Tom Brady, different rules implicated, but maybe not, depending upon who you're talking to line it up, because you're going to wait multiple weeks for other teams to do their searches before they call you up and say, what's it going to take to get Mike Vrabel? While you're waiting. And if you start doing stuff in the back channels and you're talking to coaches who are under contract with other teams, you're not following league rules, and somebody catches wind of it, $1.5 million fine, lose a first-round draft pick, and the owner gets suspended until the middle of October. So I just think both teams, Titans and Patriots, they didn't want to mess around. So, and that's one of the good things to come from the Stephen Ross punishment, especially because the Patriots have a history of getting on the wrong side of the league for football-related reasons.
Right.
And the Titans have this history of tense relations with the league over the ownership and the direction and control of the team. So I think that in both cases, the problem was it was too obvious, and I think they were concerned there's no way to do this without potentially getting ourselves in trouble.
Yeah, I hear that. And, I go back to something that, you've kind of said always, and I thought about this really right away, even last week when, I think we were talking a little bit about Belichick being traded and everything there. And Amy Strunk talks about it, is that like a franchise quarterback, they don't need a no trade clause, right? If the franchise quarterback, and it's a trade to go down and they're going, hey, franchise quarterback, we're going to trade you to that team. And he goes, I don't want to play for that team. And he tells that team he doesn't want to play for them. They're not going to be like, oh, hey, yeah, we still want you to be the quarterback and lead our franchise, even though we don't want you to be here. The same thing goes into play here, right? Let alone, I think we got two guys here in Belichick and Vrabel that are just not going to let a trade go down anyways. They're just not. They're too smart and know how valuable assets of the draft are, And of course, where they're going, they want to start off on the right foot and go, hey, we're doing positive things. And to lose a first-round pick because you traded to get me, that hurts that possibility. So I think all of those reasons, these are two guys that know how to finagle the conversation and talk to somebody to go like, screw you, you're not trading me. I'm not being traded. I'm not doing that. And they can make that conversation steer the way they want to for their own benefit because they don't want to be they want to be set up for success at their next spot, not right away, behind the 8 ball going, oh man, we don't have a first round pick, we don't have next year's third round pick, and now I got to figure out how to work this out. That's not what those two guys would do. They'd never let that happen.
Just wonder if John Gruden had done that back when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers came calling.
Right.
The Bucs wouldn't have had to give up 2 first-round picks,
right.
2 second-round picks, and $8 million in cash if Gruden just would have said no.
Yeah,
no.
but
now, that one happened naturally and organically. No one saw it coming.
Right.
Because the Buccaneers were bouncing around from option to option.
Anything.
They thought they had Bill Parcells that year.
Exactly
they thought they had Bill Parcells.
Right.
Bill Parcells left them at the altar. They'd already hired Mike Tannenbaum to come down and be the guy who sets the table for Bill Parcells. And it just kind of happened, and they were talking about Marvin Lewis, and there was this, and there was that, and then all of a sudden, this thing happens. And it just so happened, and this was 2001, 2002, before there were hundreds of reporters who were scouring over every nook and cranny of the NFL to try to find out what's going on. Nobody knew that things had gone off the rails between Al Davis and John Gruden.
Right.
And he was happy to move on.
Yes.
And there's 1 year left on the contract.
Wanted out of there.
So, yeah. So, you know what? Maybe Gruden would have lasted longer than he did in Tampa Bay if he wouldn't have lost 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks on the way through the door, Chris.
Yeah, no, listen, I think so, especially with that team, the way it was set up. Of course, he took over a team that was a Super Bowl caliber team. They just needed a little offense, right? And then you think, a little offense, and then, oh, wait, we can draft some guys here the next few years to kind of replenish the defense that was getting a little older there. Definitely. That was a problem with the franchise when I got there. The no picks and having to not be able to basically build the team through the draft a little bit and keep having to throw money at 1 year Band-Aid veteran type of football players was definitely one of the issues in Tampa when I first got there. And I think that's, again, there's just no way. Belichick, who we know, I mean, he wants to turn a first round pick and trade down and make that 2 second round picks and then trade down again and make it 3 second round picks and 3 third round picks. I mean, he knows how valuable these assets are. The teams that are playing chess and football right now understand how important all these picks are, right? I mean, again, I know these middle round picks, whatever they are, they're extremely important to, your success, rounding out your team, the depth of your football team. You look at the 49ers and Shanahan, how they've mastered the process of, minority hiring and getting people hired everywhere, and they're getting those picks too. I mean, these are things that are extremely valued within the NFL circle. So that's where, to me, if I had to bet money, and I don't know this, that I think Vrabel got the outcome he wanted. Oh, shucks, I'm fired. Oh, shucks, sorry. Oh, man, I got to go find a job, wink, wink, that I already know I got. Oh, okay, shucks, I got fired. That's what it feels like.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.